Hello and welcome to the Foxcatcher Preview Racing Show. It is Championships Day 2, so let's get straight into it. Let's get up into Sydney town and say g'day to Nick Ashman. Now, Nick, I know the weather's okay, but do we have a bit of a scenario where the rainfall might fall on the worst possible time for a race meeting on race day? Is that what could possibly happen, my friend?
Don't tell me you're a meteorologist as well, Jules.
I can assure you I'm not.
Man of many. Man of many talents, aren't you? Or you just know how to go to the Bureau of Meteorology and read. Yes, you're quite right. Up to 7 mil of rain on race day, and that could tip us, if it comes to 7 mil, we're definitely on a soft track and we might even end up sort of a soft 6. But I've sort of done the form based on that sort of soft 5, good 4, just the edge off the ground, which typically gives most runners their chance.
Beautiful. Let's get to the track intel. So we're out 3 metres the entire circuit. Day 1 championships are in the true. Just quickly, will they irrigate today? Today obviously being Thursday and Friday. Will they irrigate or you don't know? Let's just not even go into that path because we're opening up Pandora's box.
Yeah, I don't know. I've given up trying to work out the irrigation procedures, so let's just bat on.
Yep. So what's where should we be? You're thinking good soft range, but what lane should we be in, mate?
Yeah, so look, there's no real penalty for being, like last week, hard up against the fence. It's now a little bit more acceptable to be in lane 1 and even lane 2 more so. But we're thinking in the home straight, lanes 3 to 7 will be a nice little patch of grass to be in, and that's going to suit those horses that are stalking the speed. So particularly as we go back to the 1,400 metre races, we spoke about this last week, you want to be forward of midfield, stalking that tempo. I think this week we'll probably see leaders a little bit more of a factor, not suggesting it's going to be a leader-dominated day, but I just think that they don't have to get so far off the inside. So 3 to 7, stalking the speed.
Let's get to the track intel for Victoria, and we are not in the metro area. It is a metro meeting in a regional area, not a standalone meeting. If it was a standalone meeting, there wouldn't be another meeting on. Well, there is another meeting on it somewhere. I don't even know where it is. So it's not a standalone meeting. Everyone talks about a standalone meeting. I don't know why I keep mentioning standalone meeting, but it's not a standalone meeting. It's just a metro meeting in a regional area. It's at Bendigo.
Is it a standalone meeting or not?
You'll hear it plenty of times, I'm telling you. Ben Kemler Granger, they have other meetings on the same day. It's not standalone. Anyway, true position the entire circuit. I think it'll be a good fall. Beautiful conditions in Victoria. Hot conditions actually as well. April sun in Cuba type of stuff. Shoot races. So what we're looking at here is even. I think on speed and advantage around the shoot or in the shoot, obviously at Bendigo. The circle races, just to be honest, off speed is actually the sweet spot. So midfield and even worse than midfield is the high percentage play, and leaders is a bit of a low percentage play. Now, I'm not saying leaders can't win, but just in comparison to other tracks, it falls off the cliff a little bit in this scenario at Bendigo, 1,300 metres plus races. So just look at that in terms of the circle races. That is the Bendigo meeting, which is not, I repeat, not a standalone meeting. All right, let's get to the Group 1 sets here, Nico. Let's start racebook order. Let's do it that way. And look, it's
Thank God we're moving on.
It's a ripping day. As good as day 1 was, championships day 1, day 2 obviously sets up as well, and there's some big talking horses. Let's start with the Australian Oaks, and we saw a really good filly last week, and you've sort of stamped her as the staying prospect probably for the spring. Now let's look at the other outstanding filly, sort of probably up to 2,000 metres, but she is running over a distance in this Australian Oaks. Her name's Treasure the Moment. What are we doing with this race, mate?
Well, look, I think we know why she's going to win or why she will win if she does win. And that's because she's got the class edge on her rivals. I think you've touched on she's more effective a mile to 2,000 metres. Traditionally, 3-year-old fillies that are dominant, they still win up to 2,400 metres anyway, and she did that in the spring in the VRC Oaks. So, yes, I think she's the one that clearly they have to beat. I just want to talk about the negatives for her, and I want to talk about 3 possibilities as to how she can get beaten, because I think that's important to identify for the punters rather than just tipping them into the $1.70 favourite. The first thing to note is that she's coming off 2 pretty hefty gut busters. The CUNY Stakes was fast run. She ran a big number there. And the Vinery Stud Stakes was pretty fast run as well, Jules. So she's had 2 decent hit-outs. There's no real good setup for this. Look, because it's good that she's had at least one fast-paced race going into the 2,400-metre test. You wouldn't want all slow. But the fact that she's had back-to-back gutbusters now just has a small query on whether or not she's entitled to have a flat run now.
Yep.
The second thing is the 2,400 metres, and we've touched on that. It's definitely not, from what we've seen thus far, her peak distance, but she might prove us wrong on Saturday. And that ties into the third point, and that is what she does have in her favour is just there's no real leaders here.
Right.
Like a Lucy goes forward, Sun and Sand goes forward, but neither of them are mad leaders. If I was a horse like Matrimonial, there's no way Matrimonial's going to out-sprint Treasure of the Moment. Matrimonial sat 3 wide, no cover in a race at Ballarat recently and still toughed it out. She's obviously got that natural stamina reserves about her. I think something's got to take the race by the scruff of the neck. I think they've got to go forward and they've got to go at good fractions in front. And they've got to hope that that's the best thing for their filly. But then more importantly, if they do that, they're probably diminishing the chances of Treasure of the Moment to some degree. And I think that brings every horse right into play.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And as you said, she is sort of nearly twos on around $1.50, $1.60 or something like that. So you raise some interesting points of whether when you're taking that price, you want every box tick to be going, yes, she can do that, yes, she can do that, yes, she can do that. Maybe there is the chink in the armour if it is a really fast run race, but what's going to be the filly that's going to do that? So some interesting points from you there, my friend. Let's get to race 7 at Randwick. It is the Sydney Cup. Big field here. It's a big race, but usually, you have to be Johnny on the spot to win the race. You might not be the best stayer, but it might just work out the best way for you. What are we doing with this Sydney Cup? Because it looks really flat and open to me. I know you've got that short price favourite. Can we trust it to do it again?
I'm on the fence with that in terms of I hate bagging horses that are yet to be beaten. And I'm talking about this preparation. She's clearly gone to a new level this prep. They haven't been able to beat her this preparation. What she's been doing, Jules, and by the way, I've done a special for us like the Doncaster last week.
Yep.
So this will be, I'll give you a little brief overview now, but if you want the in-depth thoughts, please go and check out our socials to get that in-depth of the Sydney Cup this year. So just on Alcalance, whatever, Renouf. She's been able to leave at what we call even tempos. She's had flat sectionals. We spoke about this on the review show on Monday. And she's quickened from either the 6 or the 800 metre mark. And she's put a gap on her rivals coming into the home straight, and she's largely held that margin to the line, or maybe they've taken a couple of lengths off her, depending on where they sit in the run. On Saturday, I think it's going to be a bit different. I think this race is going to be run a bit faster. I think you're going to see horses like Circle of Fire go forward. You're going to see a horse like Valiant King, who was specced for the first time in a long time in Australia in the Chairman's last Saturday. And he went forward and he was up there with her, but they didn't go that hard. I think that they know that they can't out-sprint her. If they sit alongside her and don't pressure her, when they get to the 800 or the 600, she's just going to kick away from them. So those horses have actually got to take the race up to Alcalance earlier than that point. And I think they're going to do it. And I think that's the query for her. She's not going to quite get the same race shape as she's had at all 3 runs this preparation. So, look, for the sake of the tip, I thought Cleveland was a big price here. I think you've got to forget about his last preparation. He had an issue, and I think Chris Lee's looked after him. He was poor in all 4 runs. His first up run this time in the Manion was pretty good behind Alcalance. He meets her. He's one of the few horses that meets her better at the weights off a defeat to her last time out.
Yep.
All of these coming out of the Chairman's that actually meet her worse at the weights coming out of the Chairman's, believe it or not, and getting beaten. He's the one that meets her better out of that Manion Cup. He's going to strip fit her. He's got some pretty important silks on him, the Lloyd Williams silks. They know how to win these 3,200 metre races. And a little text message from Chrissy Lees the other day, who's a very good judge and knows his horse as well, said he's absolutely flying, couldn't be going any better. So that poor preparation, those injuries he's had are behind him now. He's got a real talent about him. He's got Jamie Mellum in the saddle. I think he's a good price each way, around $34.
Okay, so there you go, punter. Some good intel around the Sydney Cup, but also a good push for a horse at a big price. Let's get to probably Queen Elizabeth Stakes Day, as it could be suggested, instead of Day 2 championships. It is race 8. It's the Queen Elizabeth Stakes, and this is a belter of a race. I love the fact that the horse that probably won it a couple of years ago, Dubai Honour, after he's going to back up after the Tancred win. That's a positive, and obviously we've got Via Sistina, but the race doesn't end there. But she is going to start a short price favourite. How do we think this race is ran, to be honest, Nick? Is there going to be good speed in this race? Are we going to get close to possibly being able to get to Via Sistina Island? Is it going to be going at that faster pace? I know we don't have Pride of Jenny, but are there a couple other horses that might want to roll?
Yeah, 100%. Will Deny Knowledge in the same silks as Via Sistina. Her presence, I think, really enhances the chances of Via Sistina. And I'm not suggesting team tactics or anything like that. They're obviously two different stables. They might wear the same silks, but Deny Knowledge's best chances are to roll along in front. And that just happens to be what Via Sistina likes as well. So these two mares, if they run to their traditional patterns, are actually going to bring each other into play to some degree, if you like. So I think Deny Knowledge, I think she's a big price at $31. I mean, she's a Group 1 weight for age winner in the spring in the Caulfield Stakes. The first up run in the Victoria Handicap, carrying good weight, was very good and rated well. She was superb in the Australian Cup in a really high rating race behind Light Infantry Man. She's going to go forward on a day where we think forward of midfield might just be a slight advantage at Randwick on Saturday. So she just doesn't want any rain on the day. If the track stays dry, she's in the mix at $31, particularly if Via gets caught up in traffic during Barrier 1. But a fast run race, horses that save ground usually have an advantage, and the faster they go, the more gaps there are for J-Mac to get off the fence at the right time. So I can't bet against Via Sistina. She's the one for mine. If you're playing your multiples, Deny Knowledge, I think, can definitely run top 4. I thought also, what's his name? Buckaroo. He's an interesting one. He had a great spring. Second up, he caused a ball over in the spring, albeit in an easier race than this. He's had a trial between runs like Via Sistina. Obviously, Chris wants him pretty fit here. And the third horse I want to mention to you that I think can run in the top 4 was Vauban. He was very good first up, over 2,000 metres, beating Arapaho and so forth. I didn't think he was disgraced in the BMW. They elected to come here instead of the Sydney Cup. He's going very well. For mine, he's in the mix as well.
Yeah, Buckaroo's a really interesting one. They seem to have been really light on him in this autumn, where they really put all the cards on the deck in terms of in the spring. He won the Underwood Stakes, was the race that he won. He then ran enormous, to be honest, ran second to Via Sistina in the Turnbull Stakes, and she just got him in that last sort of 100 metres. And then he obviously started a clear-cut favourite in the Caulfield Cup. So he's a quality horse, but I just don't know where he's at in terms of the prep compared to the spring for this autumn. You have got Via Sistina on top, and I like the fact that, as you say, fast run races, gaps appear more often. There's pockets that J-Mac will be able to find. Yes, mate?
Yeah, I was just going to say, with Buckaroo, that trial between runs keeps him up to the mark, but he might also be sort of on a Doomben Cup path.
Has to be,
maybe
doesn't
that's
it?
where
It just has to be, doesn't it? It just has to be, doesn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
It does seem like the pace of this race is going to be a bit hot for a horse second up from a spell. So my guess is they're going to ride him quiet. He can come with a withering burst. He'll be the horse that sort of runs into the race and maybe peaks on his run 150 metres out. You think, right, well, I want to follow him up to Brisbane for the Hollandale and the Doomben Cup.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, I think, from the way they've set up the prep up for Buckaroo, that he's going to be on his way to Brisbane without knowing too much. Race 9, fourth of the Group 1s here up in Randwick. Nico is the queen of the turf for the fillies and mares. Fangirl goes there, so what are we doing?
Well, look, she's the horse to beat for sure. Her and a tissue have got the best ratings in the race. Now, this is the most interesting race in terms of tactics, Jules, for mine. Remember this day 12 months ago, we had Pride of Jenny with Declan Bates out in front, going above benchmark through the first section of the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. But the peloton were going below benchmark figures. So that massive margin that she had was partially due to her fast tempo, but also partially due to the rest of them actually going too slow.
Yep.
And this is the problem. When you get a loose leader, we quite often see this. No one wants to do the donkey work, taking the field up to the tearaway leader. So we end up with a peloton that's actually going below benchmark figures, and that makes the race way more conducive for that leader to win, because even though they're going to stop, the margin that they've got to fall into is bigger than what it should be. So, and I see this evolving here with Grinzinger Bell. Now, my numbers and my gut tells me she's probably not good enough to win the race, but I can see her leading by 6, 7, 8 lengths, and I think it's probably because she's going to be going 3, 4, 5 above benchmark, and the rest are probably going 3 or 4 below benchmark. And that might give her a sneaky chance in this race. And if they go slow, yeah, sure, Fangirl beats the peloton home because we know she's got that dynamic turn of foot. But she's got to go out and catch Grinzinger Bell.
Yep.
And I think Lazura, maybe with that lighter weight, and the bad luck she's had recently. She's hard fit now. Maybe she's the horse that's got to go out and chase Grinzinger Bell. Maybe that gives her a chance in the race. I think it's a messy race for Fangirl, and I don't know if I want to be on her because I'm just worried that the peloton won't do their job for Fangirl, if that makes any sense. And I think Grinzinger Bell, if you want to have a little Hail Mary, Declan Bates in the saddle, could be the same as 12 months ago. Different race, different horse. But I reckon maybe a little peanut each way. She could give you a good side around the $14, $15 mark.
Yeah, very good. Good intel there. Lazura was the one that probably I marked shorter than the market. So I'm interested in the fact that you talked about Lazura because I think it sets up that she can run a massive race on Saturday. So it is going to be an interesting race. That is the Group 1 set for this week. Righto, Nico, let's get into your New South Wales set. You've 's three selections for us, so let's just roll through them, my friend.
Race 1 is the Fernhill Handicap. You and I spoke on the review show about whether or not Vinrock, or I think it was a review show from last week, Vinrock and I said, I think Nepotism is the one. Well, Vinrock's now gone to the paddock, so he definitely won't be winning the Champagne Stakes we're talking about now. Nepotism won the Baillieu, and this now, there's a horse in this first race at Randwick on Saturday in the Fernhill called Michelangelo. Now, he goes a bit better than his predecessor by the same name that came across here from the UK.
Cool. Was he a Coolmore horse? Was he a Coolmore horse?
I can't know. I think it was Greg Kolovos.
Okay.
For Gay Michelangelo. I think they paid good money. He didn't really show up at all, unfortunately. But Michelangelo, the new Michelangelo for Waller, he was very heavily backed. He was about $31 into about $10 overall in that Baillieu. He got a long way back in a moderately run race and just kept on finding the line. When I went through his sectionals, guess what? They were flat. Tells me that he wants a mile. He might even want further in time. So I think small field, he settles within 3 to 5 lengths of the lead here. And I think he gets hopefully out to the better part of the track into those lanes 3 to 7. And I think he'll give you something. I think he'll prove very hard to stop. And I reckon he might even back up and be the one to beat in the Champagne Stakes outside of Nepotism in 7 days' time. Over to race 7, the Sydney Cup. We just spoke about the race. Yep. I think Cleveland's a great each-way gamble here. Look, obviously the mare's the horse to beat. But this race just has that smell about it that maybe something's going to return to form that's been out of form. I think he's weighted perfectly on his best ability. 51.5 would be very appealing. He had an SP, Jules, of $4 in this race 2 years ago. And now you're getting $34 about him. And his genuine excuses for what happened to him since that failure and including that failure. Chris Lees is a good judge. He tells me the horse is flying. I'm going to back Freddie in here. So let's go with Cleveland in the Sydney Cup. Then on to race 8, Via Sistina. We'll talk about her. I've marked her short on what the market's currently got her. I think she's a good bet. Autumn Glow, I think, will win as well. Yep. I think $1.50 for Autumn Glow is probably about the right price. I could get her as low as about $1.40, $1.45, but that's the absolute rock bottom. Via Sistina, there was $1.95 around when I sent these tips in. She's trimmed up a little bit already, but I've still got her shorter than the current market price. So I think she's right in the mix, mate.
That's the three selections.
I think she's over the odds, mate.
Yeah, I hope she's right in the mix at $1.85.
Poor choice of words there.
That's the set for Nick Ashman for a massive day up at Randwick. Let's get to my set, and if you're working with a pen here and you're not going to take a screenshot, you're going to need a few because I am launching big time at this meeting at Bendigo. And this meeting overall at Bendigo, I went through the last 5 years. It's not brilliant. It's one of those meetings where lots of runners go there. It's really competitive, 16+4 in a lot of races. I think the average SP in the last 5 years has been around $10, $11, so it shows that it's a really competitive race day. But you go back 4 years ago and the average SP of the winners, of the 9 winners, was $4. So I'm hoping we're pushing into sort of that space for this year. Going to start off race 1. Number 4, Steel Run. We're forgiving it. It was bolting at the 400. Then it hit that patch at Moonee Valley with that track that we were just saying was diabolical. I'm giving it another chance. Third up. It's better than these. Race 4, I'm playing 2 horses, Electric Bell and Freight Train. Electric Bell's on the quick 7-day back up deep into the prep. Freight Train was really good first up, came back along the inside. It's a horse that I think likes to get to the outside of horses. I like the draw be with those 2. Race 5, Sweethearted and Scampy. They're both in sort of different things. Scampy just comes out of a maiden, but I've got it rating through the roof. Sweethearted just probably in the wrong part of the track behind Alabama Lass first up. We like Alabama Lass as a horse. Race 7, progressive horse here. Down the bottom, Zalotti's. I Think it's only third up here. It's ready to explode. Want to be with it. Race 8, one of yours, Wonder Boy. I think it's now ready to explode as well, Nick. Wonder Boy, I want to be with that horse. And in race 9, Regal Zeus, it's our horse that'll go forward. I think it'll be hard to beat. Dry track might be hard to run down. In the same race, Windstorm, it's got old figures. I reckon it's ready to get back to those old figures. I'm trusting that. And in the last, Pivot City, it's going to be third up. Its 2 runs this prep have been outstanding. That is my set. That's a lot there. Beast or Famine. Snap or don't snaps here, Nico. I'll quickly get us off. So just starting, we either think take the price now with a snap or just hold off. You'll get a better price. In race 3, Bendigo, Otago, it's off 406 days. Now, this horse has got plenty of ability. There is no doubting that. But just a horse off 406 days, I just think the market at some stage has got to take it on. Conversely, if it doesn't take it on, then you know this horse is going to go on and become a Group 1 performer. I think you'll get better than the $3 on offer. Next horse, Trangugeray. It's been going really well in race 4, but around that $5, I think we'll get a better price than that. And you've got Via Sistina because you want to get the crocodile teeth out.
Yeah, I think so. Look, if you're looking for your multis for Saturday afternoon, I'd be throwing her in now. I'd be taking even that 185. I think she starts shorter. So no prizes for finding her, but I do think she'll tighten up from that current quote.
Beautiful, good stuff. So they're the 3 horses for snap or don't snap this week. Let's get to pin to tail here, Nico, and you're back in front. You lead 4-3. Last week was Tom Kitten. He actually just about nearly started favourite with PointsBet. It was a really big push for him in the last 10 minutes. I think that horse in the previous race, which came up along the inside, probably helped the market think he's going to be okay along there. That's how I sort of felt. They went, we spoke about it in the preview, they might gravitate towards the weight for age form. He only had 55.5. That's what the market did do. You predicted $7.50. I predicted $8.50. The PointsBet SP was $6, so well done to you there. This week we're going Via Sistina. I know you're keen on it. You've marked her shorter than that $1.85. What price actually have you marked her in the Queen Elizabeth?
Got $1.75. I could have got it down to $1.70 as well, Jules, but I just think presence of Dubai Ono is yet to be beaten in Australia. The market liked him in the Tancred, so I think that he'll hold some sort of a percentage in the race. And I can also see maybe 1 or 2 others at bigger prices just tightening up a fraction, so I left her at $1.75.
Beautiful. I've gone black figures Via Sistina, so we're definitely going to be a clear winner here. I just marked it bang on $2. I just thought there was enough as the market percentage comes down to hopefully around 116, 117 when these gates open. There'd be enough resistance against Via Sistina, but I'm also could clearly see that she could be just off the map because she's still got that number out there that no other horse in this race has got near, even with Dubai Honour in the race. That's pin the tail. Okay, punters, that time of the week, it is Daisy's declaration segment. And last week, Daisy, well, back on the winners list, $1.80 into $1.40. Nice horse. She's probably going to be the 1,000 Guineas favourite, I think. What do you got for us this week, my friend?
Thank you very much, Jules. Yes, it is time for everyone's favourite segment on this pod. It is Daisy's declaration. Daisy declares, call it what you will. We will look back last week, though. I said we needed to get a winner. We needed to get back on the list. We needed a nice half volley outside off. We needed a Joe the Goose in the goal square, and we got that. Scenic Point was the horse, $2 into $1.80, $1.40 after scratchings. Look, it's not much, but it's a win. We are back on the winners list, and we say pay the people. This week, all roads lead to Adelaide. Gather Round will be there. We've got racing at Morfettville, so I'm just keeping it nice and local. Race 7 is the Irwin Stakes over 1,100. Small field assembled. I'm looking to Ass Fury here. Draws a good gate in 3, flexibility in racing patterns, being in the first handful of the last 3 starts. I like that at Morfettville in a small field as well. A little bit of tactical advantage, about $3.50 at the minute. I'm really liking this one. Aspura, Irwin Stakes, horse number 7 will be paying the people. That's Daisy's declaration.
Far and wide, Daisy. Very good. Asfura, she is a world-class mare. We know that, obviously, with the G1 one over in the UK and running in Adelaide. We're all going to be over there for Gather Round, so we might even get there and cheer her on. Thanks, buddy. Nearly there, mate. Let's get to the plays of the day. I'll kick us off because I'm starting with the first race in Bendigo, and it's all about trust here. It's Steel Run around that $3.20, $3.30 mark. It was hard in the market last start, second up, now gets to third up, has to be a peak run. As I said, I think coming into the turn at Moonee Valley, she was the horse to be with, and then she just hit that patch that was just ordinary out wide and really then sort of tailed off. So I'm giving her another chance. I think on her best, or on his horse's best, he will smack them at Sneal run in the first. You've got a multi for us.
Yeah, I do. Look, I've spoken about Via Sistina. I'm not playing this very brave, but I just think of the shorties at Randwick on Saturday, I think Autumn Glow and Via Sistina are the two that I'll be taking. I don't know if you'll get much more than $1.50 Autumn Glow. You might get 155, 160, but I can't see it starting much longer than that in that field. And just touched on, I think she trims up. So happy to grab that multi now. It's paying about $2.70. It looks a good bet. The Waller double with these two girls on Saturday at Randwick.
Beautiful. It's a good place to be and stick with the strength. Thank you, mate. That was the plays of the day. Well done. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Champs Day 2. I will see you Monday because we'll go through all this and review it, and hopefully we've got plenty of horses that we can look for, obviously, next week maybe for All-Age Stakes Day or even that Brisbane Carnival. And you've already got me ticking over around Buckaroo in that Doomben Cup. I think you might be right on the money there. Let's hopefully see him run well. Go well, my friend.
I've got a little bit of news. Got a dog coming on Saturday afternoon, so we're going to pick up a puppy with the kids.
Fantastic.
Getting a dog, a golden retriever, already named Jack. So we'll see what happens.
So wholesome. I hate it.
That's very wholesome. It's so wholesome, isn't it? It's a real turnaround in events.
Yeah, I know. There's a real
looks can be deceiving.
There's a real flip there. Anyway, I'll be at Adelaide at Gather End. Come and say hi. Going to be big.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.